Okay, so for those who have not attended in our first meeting, so business analytics is all about the use of the data, okay, in running the business. Okay, so data will come from the different departments, so such as sales department, or perhaps marketing, so HR. But the bulk of data that the management uses in running their business is from the financial data, so produced by the accountants or it, uh, analyzed by the financial managers. So in today's business analytics, so there are a new discipline that emerged, so which I think need need po ninyo masabdan so that you can also uh, make use of this new type of discipline or new body of knowledge that deals with the analysis of the different business data. So, of course, these data are retrieved through any means. So, pwede siya quantitative, okay, or pwede po niya uh, the day-to-day nga operation sa business nga recorded by the company. So, one of the new discipline that um, business is now using is what we call the data analytics. Okay, so data analytics is the process of the gathering, excuse me. Okay, so analytics is the process of gathering and analyzing data in a way so that produces meaningful information that can be used to in the decision making. So, of course, the data is needed to be converted into information so that those data can give a meaningful um, or can be used to help the management in their decision making. So everything that is involved in the gathering and analyzing data is called the data analytics. So data analytics can be classified into four types. So there are four types of data analytics. First is called the descriptive analytics. Second is diagnostic. Third is predictive. And lastly is called the prescriptive analytics. So what are the differences between these four types of analytics? So the first analytics is called the descriptive. So it answers the question, what happened? Okay. So the descriptive analytics only report the past performance of the business. So usually we can find this in the financial statements or to all the data nga ilang na gather. Okay, so it only answers the question what happened. So wala sila addition to that. So they just report on the past performance. So no more, no less. That's why it's called descriptive because it's only describing. The second type of analytics is called the diagnostic. So from the word diagnostic, so you are diagnosing. Okay, so you are using the descriptive analytics to answer the question, why did it happen? So you try to find meanings, so you try to find connections. So you understand why the past performance happened. So for example, if in the descriptive analytics you will get nga sales, so you are comparing two sales report, okay? In the diagnostic analysis, you will be able to compare both years. So kung itaas ang sales, then uh, it could be a positive event nga nag-result to increase in sales, or if nag-down ang sales, then there should be a reason why nag-down ang sales. So you are trying to look for that reason. So it's called diagnostic. The third type of analytics is called the predictive analytics. So you are using correlative analysis. So you are predicting. So what is likely to happen in the coming years. So it's like a forecasting. Okay. So you're trying to forecast what will be the likely performance in the coming year or coming years. So it's predictive analytics. So of course you cannot do the predictive analytics without using the descriptive analytics and diagnostic analytics. So you need to have both before you can do some prediction or do some forecasting. And then last type of analytics is called the prescriptive analytics. So this analytics answers the question what needs to happen. Okay. So if there's likely to be a declining a sales and you don't want that to happen, what should be done um, to lessen that probability or that possibility? Or perhaps kung kaya nimo nga dili na siya mahitabo. Okay? So you're trying to prescribe, so you're trying to give prescription on what needs to do, what needs to happen. So mo na siya. So it's trying to solve a problem. Okay? So it helps the business survive and not result into bankruptcy. So that's why it's called prescriptive analytics. You're trying to heal. You're trying to give prescription so that the business will survive. So those are the four types. Descriptive. So just remember unsa nga question ang iyang itubag. So the descriptive answers the question what happened. For diagnostic, it answers the question why did it happen. For predictive, so it answers the question what is likely to happen. And for the prescriptive analytics, it answers the question what needs to happen or what must happen. So business intelligence. So of course, in the business analytics, so you cannot do some analysis um, without gathering intelligence or gathering data. So before we can do the analysis, so we need to have a business intelligence first. So the business intelligence is the combination of the architectures, the analytical and other tools, so even the databases, so applications, methodologies that enable interactive access, so sometimes in real time, to data such as the sales revenue, the costs, the income, and product data. So for FSU, for example, so we only have one database, and that is the database found in the OPIS or in your OPIS account. So all those data are stored there. So the data in the database in the OPIS is being used for us to enable the enrollment for the different functions such as the update of the fees, tuition fees, to come up with the sales report, the enrollment report, okay, and so on and so forth. So the business intelligence process involves the transformation of data into information. So the data is just any fact, okay, or any knowledge, but the data must be processed to become an information. So para ma-process that into information, so you might combine, you might consolidate, okay. So perhaps you can make a report out of it, summarize it, and give that report to those managers who needs that in their decision making. So, for example, the accumulation of data. So, in the accounting process, so we gather this data through record keeping or bookkeeping. So, we journalize all the transactions. and then you post that. So, ang ihatag na nato sa atong sa management is the financial statements and our analysis. Okay, so FS analysis. So that data from the transactions, okay, so from those business transactions, and then we processed it into a summarized report and then give that information to management. So it becomes an information. So ang information to a data to become information, it must be relevant. Okay, it must be relevant to the one using it. Okay, so dili pwede nga ang information nga ang data nga imong hatag is dili relevant to the decision maker. Okay? So for example, if the sales department is trying to find the sales report, okay, or to ask for the sales report, so sales ra gyud ang imong ihatag. So don't give the the profit of each department or kuan, or perhaps the employees, the list of employees. So it is irrelevant to the sales department. So nganong magdawat man sila og list of employees. Okay? Unless of course the employees are part of their department. So relevant na sa ila. But if you give them the list of all the employees in the entire organization, so what will they do with that information, with that data? Okay? So for the data to become information, it must be relevant to the department acquiring it. So the data is transformed or processed into information, and then the information becomes knowledge. Okay? And then the knowledge becomes an insight, and then the insight become it will be used to come up with strategic decisions, and the strategic decisions become an action. So inana ang iyang transformation. So from data to information to knowledge, insight, strategic decisions, and finally it becomes an action. So to discuss more of those transformation, okay, so we begin with data. So the data is any facts or figures, but the data itself can is not an information. So it's just any facts or figures. Okay. So perhaps the sales, the daily sales, or perhaps the number of enrollees. So who are enrolled. Okay. So these are just facts and figures. So it's not yet an information. So the data can only become an information if it has been processed, it has been analyzed, interpreted, organized, and put into context such as in a report in order to be meaningful and useful. So for example, we accountants produce the financial statements. So of course, those before you can come up with financial statements, there are a lot of data that has been processed and recorded. Okay, so these are analyzed and then interpreted. So that is why, aside from preparing the financial statements, we also prepare financial statements analysis. So after reporting that to the management, okay, so after giving that information to the whoever needs it, so that information becomes knowledge to them. Okay, so knowledge is the theoretical or the practical understanding of something. So we say knowledge, it cannot only be found in the different books. Okay, so the knowledge can be acquired through the day-to-day business operations. Okay, so it's both theoretical and practical understanding. And then when you have the knowledge, we can use that knowledge to give us insight. Okay, so insight is more critical, more deep understanding of the knowledge. So insight is a deep and clear understanding of a complex situation. So for example, you are given data. So na-compare niyo ang financial statements between 2019 and 2020. So you have analyzed that 2020 is very poor ang performance, then you try to gather data nganong ina man ang result. Then later you understand niya it is due to pandemic. Okay? So it's due to pandemic nganong nag-down ang sales. So if we want to survive, what should be done to alleviate the impacts of the COVID-19? So it becomes an insight. So the knowledge you have acquired, it becomes your insight. Okay? And then you use that insight to come up with strategic decisions. So after you know the pandemic caused the decline in sales, okay, a decline in revenue. So what should be done in the coming year para dili kayo uh, dili kayo ma-lessen ang impact sa COVID-19. So you can come up with strategies. So perhaps you can implement a work from home. You can make use of the digital marketing or online sales. So perhaps if you're an educational institution, you can strategize by using the online classes. So these are strategic decisions. So the after uh, coming up with the strategic decisions, of course, it needs to be implemented. Okay, so those strategic decisions become an action. Okay, so from data, it becomes information, and become information becomes knowledge. The knowledge becomes insight. Insight is used to make strategies, and then the strategies that are implemented, so it becomes an action of the management. So the business intelligence has four main components. So what are those components? So first, you have the data warehouse. So the data warehouse is the storage of all data or the source of all data. The second component of the business intelligence system is called the business analytics. So business analytics is the collection of tools used to mine, manipulate, and analyze the data in the data warehouse. So all those data in the data warehouse must be analyzed and interpreted. So many business intelligence systems include artificial intelligence capabilities as well as analytical capabilities. So very kuan na gyud karon. So ang technology can already perform analysis. Okay? So with the help of the artificial intelligence, so that is why there is a threat in the profession of the accountant. So if we do not incorporate the information technology knowledge in our profession, then we will become obsolete because later on, a system can already do the accountant's job. So such as bookkeeping, perhaps later they can also perform the FS analysis and perhaps give recommendations to the management. So that is why we need to keep evolving. We need to acquire more knowledge, especially in the in, information technology department, so that we can we can survive. Okay. Third, the third component is called the business performance management. So the business performance management is a component that monitors and analyzes the performance of each department or of the performance of the entire company. Then the last component is called the dashboard. So I think we are familiar with the dashboard. So every time we use your FSU Learn, so you can see the dashboard in your screen. So the dashboard is a screen in a software application or a browser-based application or perhaps a desktop application that displays in one place, all information relevant to a given objective or process. Or for senior management, it may show patterns and trends in the data across the organization. So with the help of the dashboard, so in just one look, um, you can already have an analysis or insight of what is happening. So there you go, data warehouse, business analytics, business performance management, and dashboard. So again, today we discuss the definition of the data analytics, the four types of analytics. So we have descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. We also discussed about the business intelligence and how the data is transformed or processed into action. And then lastly, we discussed the four main components of the business intelligence system, so such as the data warehouse, the business analytics, business performance management, and the dashboard. Okay, so for now, so our discussion ends there. So we will continue the discussion in the discussion on Thursday. Okay. Now, if you have questions, clarifications, so you can ask now. Are there questions or any clarifications? Okay, so if there are no more questions, clarifications, then uh, I will dismiss you early. So I'll see you on Thursday uh, for the continuation of the discussion about business analytics. Okay, thank you. See you next Thursday.